Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As a longtime player, I'd like to express my disappointment with the current state of. Now, I know this is quite a late video of an event that ended almost 3 weeks ago, but work has me pinned down, and I don't usually make YouTube videos, and I kind of say the real deal. Now, listen, we all know that this event was released haphazardly to keep people engaging with the game, while Digital Extremes brainstorms trying to get more ideas to keep this game going, and totally not pull the don't copy my homework thing and call them Orphixes instead of Condrixes, even though they look the same and behave the same. So, you're wondering, what did we actually get? Well, we got a Warframe that has no place in this game, Mastery Fodder, that is another frame dropper, just like Mirage with the Brahma, a new weapon called Cedo, a shotgun that soon became the new meta because not only does it frame drop like fuck, it also does hell a lot of damage to the absolute delight of these idiots who make the easy mode builds, which in turn cause more harm to the game than good. A Necromech helmet that looks like shit, and useless Necromech mods that should be embedded within the Necromech itself as part of the actual Necromech abilities, some re-released weapons that should have stayed dead with Scarlet Spear, and I mean Seri, Lacera, and Pasmu, both weapons not worth using and predominantly used for mastery fodder, an Aura Formal blueprint, a Captura stage, and all of the arcanes previously obtainable in Scarlet Spear, and Eidolons. Only this time they aren't Scarlet credits yet, it's Phase Excels, and they're offered by the half-dead dude in Demos, who, thank fuck, isn't as annoying as that moron Little Duck, but has a limited amount of lines to say before you angrily repeat because you can't skip that shit. So, does this make this event rewarding? Let's see. Now, this event, as Scarlet Spear should have been, should have taken place on the open world side of the game. Instead, the event took place on the Grenier Galleons and the Corpus Capital ships, one more claustrophobic and maze-like than the other. Now, while Scarlet Spear did take place on Earth on somewhat open zones, Orphix Venom did not. And while in Scarlet Spear you could use your Warframe powers in weapons, Orphix Venom limited the player to using just a shitty Necromex exclusively by separating the operator from the frame through a yellow bubble-like force field, because it seems that Digital Extremes did not want the absolute Pondrix rape fest that was Scarlet Spear, involving Limbo, Mesa, Chroma, Volt, Wisp, Ruko, Kuva, Brahma, Nucor, and the other weapons and frames that got nerfed into shit because people found ways to destroy the Condrixes in mere seconds. Not to mention that the Warframe no-lifers had already learned the spawn patterns within the first 30 minutes and proceeded to rush to the spawn points just like in Scarlet Spear. The amount of Orphixes you had to delete was 36, as opposed to the 19 in the Scarlet Spear ground team, rewarding you with 2,000 phasic cells as opposed to the 4,000 Scarlet credits, both lasting for an hour per run for the maximum amount of reward. You still with me? Okay then. Now for the mechs. Number one, we got the Voidrig, which is good for tanking the damage with a shield of 2,000 and 4,200 HP, with the ability to Iron Skin just like Rhino, which scales with damage and gives you X amount of, obviously, shield or Iron Skin. None of the other abilities matter apart from the fourth, which is the Archibex, the Exalted Cannon, which deals a shit ton of damage until a certain cap is met. I went from doing 200,000 damage to the enemies and 40,000 to the Orphix, down to doing between 200 to 1,000 damage to the enemies and almost no viable damage to the Orphix. I had per se mediocre build, but still managed to hold my own when not three shot by a level 130 butcher. No real way of healing, a shit HP pool, shit shield, shit first three abilities. Then people came up with healing methods which were, needless to say, taken away by digital extremes because reasons. Number two, we have the Bone Lady, which can heal, is slow, is clunky, has a pointy end which can grab enemies by the balls and jerk them off. I mean, jerk them around until the life is drained from them, replenishing itself in the process. Has a shield which is quickly broken, and when broken, has a 10-second cooldown period before activating again. However, there is no cooldown period if you remove the shield and activate it yourself. Funny, huh? Can target enemies in range and do something, I don't know, suck them off, because I haven't found a good enough use for the third power. And last but not least, this mech pulls an Excalibur move and whips out an Exalted Blade, which slash enemy dead, mainly used to deal damage to the Orphix in close range. I want to make a note that these mechs are not even a tenth of what the mechs you fight in the isolation vaults are. They die easily, have a fucking cooldown period, and are just generally bad. And can crouch, but cannot attack while crouching because DE didn't want you to sit Bone Widow in a corner and shoot these idiots into oblivion. But hey, who cares? Autobots roll out. Muzzle on for the win. And this event made the old Fluctus weapon come back to life after more than 5 fucking years of not using it. To the absolute ball tingling feeling of those idiots in trade chat who make a living by scalping people and gouging the prices of even the most shittiest of ribbons out there. All right, then. You still with me? Okay, cool. Let's go on. Alrighty then. Just like with Scarlet Spear, this event was 3 stages long, right? You got the normal one, you got the advanced one, and then you got the endurance one. And the endurance one is the one where shit hits the fan. All right. The first two are okay. You could do decent amount of damage even if you didn't have your own necromech, since they absolutely were so creative with just making necromechs fucking lying around and just appearing out of nowhere. So you could just jump into one of those and then do damage and stuff. You didn't have to do all 36 of them to win the stage. You just needed to get 800 points, and then that's it. Stage done. Um, but that's not cool, right? You give your people the necromechs, but the necromechs are absolutely just basic shit. They die like they're nothing. And you have to wait, obviously, a minute or two before another one shows up, and then you can get that one, which isn't cool. But hey ho, at least they give you something to fight the Orphixes with, and not just go in with your operator all fucking Rambo style. And what made it even more annoying was the fact that Digital Extremes didn't even bother to adjust the fucking door frames to accommodate the necromechs, and they continuously hit their helmet on the door or gate as they were passing through, and that was just, oh man, come on, no. And on top of that, you got all of the connection problems, all of the idiots who just rush through everything. You got the people complaining that you're not doing anything. You got the old die-hard players that fucking, just a shit on everyone who just comes into the game and doesn't hold their weight. If you want to do this, homie, do it solo and then spare us the fucking stupidity of hearing you say shit like that. Now, for me, this event was somewhat okay, enjoyable. Um, it was way worse than Scarlet Spear. I played the event until I got, let's just say, all of the basic rewards that Father has to offer in Demos, and I just couldn't give a shit about the rest of the arcanes, even though the arcanes were way less expensive. Instead of, let's just say, Arcane, Energize, Grace, and I think it was Guardian, which in Scarlet Spear cost 4,000, and in Orphix Venom they cost 800. Right, so while I do appreciate the drop in price for the arcanes, I still think that this event, I don't even know, should have been something else, something a little bit more creative, you know, because while I do appreciate they gave us something, it's not enough, right? This is an event that was just meant to keep us there, right? While we're still waiting for, I don't know, the corpus liches and some other bullshit they're, thinking of. And after that, after I got all of the rewards, I just didn't want to touch it anymore because it's way too tedious. And as I said previously, the amount of people actually, looking for the easy mode builds to do this as many times as possible is just insane. I played, obviously in the video here you can just see me with Inaros trying to unlock a ribbon, but I played with people who had, the destruction power was so big. They could probably do that shit solo. They had no business being in a squad with fucking randoms. But anyways, as obviously as you progress through the level, the enemies become tougher and tougher and tougher, and at one point, the Chondrix is, well, basically the game spawns a second one, and that's with that second one active, the sentient control obviously grows faster. And then when it reached 100%, it didn't matter what you did, you would no longer get any points. Right now, I don't even know. Right, it's events like this that, you know I don't even know. Does it bring enjoyment to anyone? Do you play that shit with joy? Do you enjoy fucking, running around like a fucking moron because the Chondrix doesn't spawn earlier than 45 to 1 minute, you know, spawn time? And then you're just left there wondering, what the fuck am I doing here? So you just like randomly shoot enemies. Right. One more thing that I absolutely fucking hate is that DE, sometime between 2014 and 2015, reduced the spawn rate of the energy and health orbs, and they just left it that way. And even though you do get some energy from the guys you kill, and obviously you find those on the ground, HP orbs are very hard to find. And I do mean that without a Necros or a Hydroid or some shit like that, yeah, your Necromech's basically dead if you don't have Necromech Rage and Necromech Repair, which shouldn't even be on there in the first place, right? Because the mech should have these abilities. They should already be in there, innate, right? That's what should happen, because when you fight them in the isolation vaults, they're really hard to kill unless you're one of those retards who has a killer Rubico build or whatever the fuck else, and they get one shot, right? Um, I there's a lot of things that I kind of forgot to mention because I'm no longer reading off of my screen. This is just things that I just come to my mind like that as I'm watching the video. I just don't enjoy these kind of events, right? But I guess it's down to personal preference, right? No, yeah. One more thing that just came to my mind, as you're plowing down through these enemies, that you're not insta killing them, right? That should have been a thing, right? As you're walking with your necromech through the actual stage, you should have been fucking smashing through them, just stepping on them, just fucking killing them. And even those guys that fall off the map, they shouldn't be respawned or reset. They should just die, and that's it. But even when you're smashing through the enemies, they still live. I mean, I smashed with both my Voidrig and my Bone Widow, and they were still able to get the fuck up. And also, with the enemies, funny enough, are acting like an obstacle, right? So if you're not running and if you're not like rushing through them, what was it called again? The slide. Um, they are. You can't get past them, so you don't step on them. You just you can't move them. They're physically there and they're just in your way. All right. Also, the new sentient enemies that were introduced. To be perfectly honest, they were a fucking blur. I didn't give a shit about them. They're like, a blur in the background. Because as a player, I was too focused on destroying the ever appearing resonators, which were, funnily enough, one shot by melee or operator amp, but they took fucking hella long to be destroyed via the Mausolon. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen,